$6. That's what a grande latte runs you now at Starbucks. $6 for 2 shots of espresso, some steamed milk, and a paper cup with your name spelled slightly wrong. And the farmer who actually grew the coffee beans in that cup, he gets about 10 cents. 10 cents out of $6. So here's the question we're going to answer, dollar by dollar, cut by cut. When you tap your card for a $6 coffee, where does your money actually go? Who reaches in between that farm and your hand? And how big a slice do they take? Pin your receipt to the top of the screen, because we're going to dock every cut as it happens. Everyone takes a cut. Let's find out who gets yours. Let's start with what you're actually buying. A grande latte is about 14 grams of roasted espresso and roughly 12 ounces of steamed milk in a paper cup with a lid and a cardboard sleeve. The raw materials, beans, milk, cup, all of it, cost Starbucks somewhere around $1. So if it costs about $1 to assemble, why does it cost you $6? Because you are not paying for coffee. You're paying for everything that happens around the coffee. The rent, the wages, the green logo, the app, the machine hissing behind the counter. The drink is almost an afterthought. Over the next few minutes, we're going to take that $6 apart, one slice at a time, and watch it shrink on the receipt at the top of your screen. By the end, you'll see exactly what's left for Starbucks, and it's a lot less than you think. Start at the very beginning. The farm. Most of Starbucks coffee comes from growers in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. Small farms, often a few acres, where the cherries are still picked by hand. And here's the part nobody prints on the cup. Coffee trades as a global commodity on something called the C price. And even after the premium Starbucks pays for higher grade beans, the grower's share of what you pay is tiny. Studies that follow the coffee chain put the farmer's take at roughly 1% of the retail cup. On your $6 latte, that's about 10 cents. 10 cents to the person who planted the tree, waited years for it to fruit, and hand-picked the cherries at harvest. Remember that paper cup? It costs more than that. Hold on to this number because it's the smallest cut in the entire chain, and it goes to the one person without whom there is no coffee at all. From the farm, the beans go on a journey. They're bought by exporters, graded, shipped across oceans in containers, imported, and then roasted. Starbucks roasts its own, bagged, warehoused, and trucked out to thousands of stores. Add all of that handling up, the shipping, the roasting, the distribution, it comes to roughly 40 cents of your $6. Sit with that for a second. The act of moving the beans around the planet costs about 4 times what the farmer who grew them earned. None of this 40 cents touches a coffee plant. It's boats, diesel, roasting drums, and pallets. This is the invisible middle of the chain, the part between the farm and the cafe that quietly takes 4 times the grower's cut, just for logistics. The coffee hasn't even been made yet, and the farmer is already the cheapest line on the receipt. Now the parts that aren't coffee at all. Your latte is mostly milk, about 12 ounces of it, and that milk costs Starbucks somewhere around 45 cents a cup. Read that again. The milk in your latte costs more than 4 times what the coffee farmer earned. Then the packaging, the cup, the lid, the sleeve, the little green stopper you jam in the top. Call it 25 cents all in. So before a single human being has steamed or poured anything, you're already past $1 in pure materials, and most of that dollar is milk and paper, not coffee. The bean everyone pictures when they think, I'm buying a coffee, is, by a wide margin, the cheapest physical thing in the cup. The milk beats it. The cup beats it. Even the lid is in the conversation. Someone has to actually make the thing. The barista who pulls your shot, steams the milk to exactly the right temperature, draws a little leaf in the foam, calls your name, and hands it over. That labor is one of the biggest single cuts in your $6. Between wages, payroll taxes, and benefits, store labor works out to roughly $1.20 of your latte. And that number has been climbing. In 2025, Starbucks deliberately poured money back into staffing hours under a turnaround it called Back to Starbucks. More people on shift, better service. And that's a big part of why its profit margins got thinner. So about a fifth of your $6 is the human being standing at the counter. That single slice is bigger than the farmer, the shipping, and the beans combined, by a mile. The labor to make your coffee costs more than the coffee. Here's the single biggest cut, and it has almost nothing to do with coffee: rent. That cozy store with the soft chairs, the wood tables, the free Wi-Fi, the outlets, the bathroom you definitely use without buying anything, it sits on expensive real estate, usually a corner with heavy foot traffic, and that spot costs a fortune. Occupancy and utilities run about $1.35 of your $6 latte. That's the biggest slice in the whole chain, bigger than all the coffee, milk, and packaging put together, which means you're not really buying a drink. You're renting a seat in a well-located room for a while, and the latte is the cover charge at the door. Starbucks figured this out decades ago. The product was never the coffee. The product is the place, and good places on good corners are expensive. Then there's the part you never see at all, the company itself, the marketing, the app that remembers your order, the reward stars you hoard, the seasonal cups, the corporate salaries up in Seattle, the global supply chain, the lawyers, the store build-outs, and the taxes stacked on top. Bundle all of that together as corporate overhead, and it takes roughly $1.95 of your $6. That is the price of the green logo. None of it is free, and all of it rides on your latte. So out of $6, nearly 2 of them never get anywhere close to a coffee bean. They run the machine that is Starbucks the corporation, the brand, the app, the headquarters, as opposed to Starbucks the little cafe where you actually picked up your drink. The logo, it turns out, is one of the most expensive ingredients of all. So let's add it all back up, one last time. Out of your $6, about 10 cents to the farmer, 40 cents to roasting and shipping, 45 for the milk, 25 for the cup, $1.20 to the barista, $1.35 to rent, and almost $2 to the corporation, which leaves 30 cents. That's it. 30 cents is Starbucks' actual net profit on your latte, about a nickel on every dollar, which lines up exactly with the 5% net margin in their latest annual report. 30 cents. The company everyone assumes is printing money off your caffeine habit keeps about a nickel per dollar. Less than the milk, less than the cup and the bean together. The famous $5 markup between cost and price? Almost none of it is profit. It's labor and rent and logo. The money isn't going where you think. It's going to the room and the people standing in it. Is a nickel of profit per dollar just what selling coffee costs? Not even close. Look at McDonald's, which will sell you a McCafe latte for about half the price. McDonald's keeps roughly 32 cents of profit on every dollar of revenue. 32 versus Starbucks' 5. How? Because McDonald's doesn't really run its restaurants. Its franchisees do. McDonald's mostly owns the land and the brand and collects rent and royalties off the people who actually sling the food. Same cup of coffee, completely opposite machine. Starbucks owns its cafes, signs every lease, and pays every barista, so it carries every single one of those cuts we just walked through and keeps a nickel. McDonald's hands all those cuts to someone else and keeps a third. The coffee is almost beside the point. The business model is the entire story. So here's the thing to sit with next time you're standing in that line. The $6 you're about to tap is not buying coffee. Not really. It's buying 20 minutes of a barista's hour, a sliver of a landlord's expensive corner, a roaster's diesel, a shipping container's mileage, and a slice of a marketing budget. And the actual coffee, the bean itself, is the single cheapest part of the whole transaction. The farmer who grew it gets a dime. So, What if you'd known that exact breakdown before you tapped your card? Would you still buy it? A lot of people still would. The chair really is comfortable. The app really is convenient. The latte really is warm, and someone else made it. There's nothing wrong with paying for that. But now you know precisely what the $6 is for, and it was never really the coffee. So here's your receipt, fully itemized at last. 10 cents to the farm that grew it, 40 cents to move it across the world, 70 cents for the milk and the cup it lives in, $1.20 to the person who made it, $1.35 to the room you drink it in, $1.95 to the corporation whose name is on the side, and 30 cents of actual profit at the very end of all of it. $6, sliced into a dozen different hands, most of them nowhere near a coffee tree. That's the cut. Now you know who gets yours.